Hey, what's up, guys? So in this video, we're going to be interviewing my client, Edwin. Now, Edwin recently went from zero to his first 10K month within 5 weeks, and he was able to build this business so quickly. Even though he has a full-time job, he has a family, he goes to the gym 6 times a week, and he has all of those other responsibilities that we all have. He was still able to build this business incredibly quickly. So this is a value-packed interview. I know you guys are going to enjoy it, and I'll see you in there.
So before I joined the program, I really just wanted, to look for a side hustle, something to make some extra money. And I saw on Instagram for like affiliate marketing, so I started looking into that, but that didn't really interest me. And then I saw somebody post something about Amazon FBA. I never heard of it before, so I dug a little deeper into that, and it seemed interesting, like not having to advertise or market anything. It interested me. So I reached out to somebody else on Instagram who had another program. Went on like a video call with them for like an hour, and wasn't sure how I felt about that one. So then I reached out to you and I asked you for some advice, and you told me, just join my program and I'll teach you everything. And I watched a bunch of your videos before I joined, and you seem like you really knew what you were talking about. Just the way on your YouTube videos, the way you talked about like your knowledge of everything compared to like other videos and the other person I talked to. It's just you just seem like you really knew what you were talking about, and I could relate to some of your stories because you kind of gave us like your background too, and I could relate to how you felt and how you wanted your time back and all that. And price was a big thing too. The other program was a ton of money, so price was a
Yeah.
big thing for me because I was a little fearful at first because I've never done anything like this before. I've never had a business, never done anything online like this, never sold anything. So it was a little fearful at first. So I didn't have a lot of capital, and that's why I really wanted to join your course.
So you definitely made it successful pretty quick. I was reading over your recent post of your 10K. How long did it take you to get to that 10K month once you started actually looking for products?
Early June is when I joined the course. And for the first month, I was going through the lessons. I was practicing sourcing, but I wasn't buying anything yet. I wanted to make sure I was ready. So for like the first month, I was just, prepping myself, getting all my stuff ready, going through the course, just taking notes, learning everything. But it took about 2 weeks of actually sourcing to find my first product. It was a struggle in the beginning, but then I really, every day I was just going at it, sourcing nonstop. So end of July is when I had my first few products up, and that's when I sold. Like within 2 days, I had like $1,000 in sales, and that's when it hit
Wow.
me. Like this is real. Like I was hungry after that. So I was
Yeah.
sourcing crazy after that, and took about 5 weeks. Then I hit my first 10K.
Cool. So yeah, that proof of concept is like there's nothing like it. It's like especially like people like you and me, like we kind of have a similar startup which is like never had any business background. I don't know if you have any like family that has like businesses or successful businesses or anything like that. So when I started and I hit that first sale, I was like, holy shit, like this is real. Cause like the only thing I knew about making money was a job. Right.
Yeah,
So it's like that first proof of concept. It's like this kind of blows your mind. And then you're off to the races.
yeah, it's crazy because like I got a full-time job. I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I got my family. I got all these responsibilities. So to be able to do that within like sacrificing just TV time or playing on the phone or whatever it is, a couple hours a night, and to be able to do that within 5 weeks, like it just makes me hungry for more. It's
Yeah,
something that's realistic. You can really do this.
that is very fast. Like that is super fast. So I kind of want to touch on something you mentioned. So for the first 2 weeks, you weren't finding anything, right? So you were scanning
Yeah.
stuff. Were you running into a lot of gated stuff, or what was kind of the issue? Just things that weren't profitable.
Yeah, so I was finding a lot of stuff. Like I'd find something and be like, all right, this is a profitable product, but I wouldn't find it for the right margin, or I would look into it. Amazon's owning the buy box and stuff like that. So I kept going, going through storefronts, and I guess I wasn't good enough yet at sourcing because it takes a lot of practice. It's a learning curve. But for the first 2 weeks, I really couldn't find anything, and I started to doubt myself, but I wasn't going to stop.
Mhm.
So I kept going. Finally, I found a product. It's funny because I found a product, ordered it, found out it was the wrong variation. So that was the first mistake. And that variation that I bought didn't sell at all. So luckily, I was able to get a return on that. But then I started, really finding stuff. I found one thing here. Next thing you know, another website, I found 2 or 3 products there. And then I found a good sale and just dug deep. And I was just rolling after that.
Okay, yeah. So the reason I ask is very similar problems that a lot of people run into when they first start out, right? So it's like people think they're going to come in here and they're going to find all of this inventory on day one when it's like, dude, it's a skill that you have never done before, right? So you say you go to the gym 6 days a week. Imagine go to the gym 1 to 3 days and then leaving and being like, fuck, I'm not jacked yet. This is a waste of time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
how important was like the right mentality for you? Because I know you mentioned like having that winner's mindset that I talk about in the program.
Yep.
And I mean, going 2 weeks with nothing, it's like you're going to the gym 6 days a week, you got a full-time job, you have a family. So it's like, how important is that mentality to kind of keep you sharp and keep you going?
You have to have that mentality. And like the first lesson that you had was winner's mindset. And that really hit me because if you don't have that mentality and like if you give up too quick, you're never going to get where you want to be. If you go at something, you have to know that there's going to be obstacles. Things are going to try to prevent you. But if you want it bad enough, no matter what you're facing, you're just going to keep going. Like you have to go because you can't expect, like you said, you can't expect to go into this and from day one just take off. Things are going to happen. You're going to make mistakes, but if you want it bad enough, you just got to keep going. And every
Yeah.
day, like I go to my full-time job every day and it's a reminder, like when I get there, it's like, this is why I want to do Amazon because I don't want to be here like every single day.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like I can relate to that. You just brought me back. Like I remember when I first started and I was like I was just done with being there. I was like, I'm gonna miss so much. And I was like, law enforcement is such a demanding job. So those moments where it's like I'm not finding anything, or these suppliers are telling me no, or this or that, it's like it kind of doesn't really phase you as much because you're like, I'm gonna make this work no matter what, because I'm unhappy with this current situation and I want to build something to get me out of it, or just to kind of alleviate some stress from that job. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. But I think that
Exactly.
is probably number one going into this business, is like you have to have the right mentality. And I think you can make it work with really very little information. I think if you have the right mentality, like I'm going to make this work no matter what, if I give you 10% of what you need to do, you'll figure it out. But if you have that wrong mentality, it's like I can give you 100% of the information, exactly what you need to do. And a lot of times people will never take any action on it.
Yeah, you have to. You can't be afraid to fail because if you're afraid to fail and that's what's holding you back, then you're already failing by never trying. You
Yeah.
you, you have to jump into it. And I'm lucky because my wife is very supportive. My mother's very supportive. Like everyone is really supporting me. And I keep telling them like I'm gonna make this work. I know I'm gonna make it work. I know I'm gonna be successful. Like nothing's gonna stop me. And you have to have that mindset. You can't go into
Yeah.
it saying, maybe it'll fail. You might fail at certain things, but you have to keep going.
Yeah. And you mentioned like some that you made some mistakes along the way. What were like some of the big mistakes that you made so far?
Ordering wrong products, a little bit of the wrong research too. Um, like for example, I looked at this one listing on Amazon, and it was a picture of two, but it was a listing for one, and I kind of went in a little too deep on that listing. But then I read the reviews on it, and it was a ton of returns, like stuff like that. So
Mm.
I didn't lose a ton of money because with online arbitrage, you're not placing huge orders like wholesale. Um, but those are mistakes like that.
Yeah. And then it's so funny with arbitrage. It's like a lot of people are so scared of making a mistake. And it's like, well, I mean, worst case scenario, you could just return it. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, you wasted a little bit of time, but you kind of learned a lesson
Yeah,
along the way. It's just really
yeah,
perspective of how you look at things.
yeah, exactly.
Did you deal with a lot of gating issues?
Um, Actually, I did. So I was actually a brand I couldn't get Ungated in, and I kept trying and trying and trying, and eventually they just said I sent, too many times, and I couldn't get Ungated.
Yeah.
But I just move on. There's so many other things you could sell on Amazon that you just got to move on. But besides that, I've been pretty successful with all the ungating I've been doing, and I got Ungated. My first two Ungates were two major brands too, which really helped. I actually have a friend that I work with, and it took her 22 tries to get Ungated on one brand. Like you got to keep trying.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes people will get defeated after their first try, and it's like, oh well, you just never know. Like sometimes you could literally submit the exact same information, don't change a single thing, and You submit it one time, it gets rejected. You submit it a second time, it'll get approved. But I
Yeah.
know a lot of people are dealing with like, dating issues. And I don't know if this was your experience, but did you notice that once you started making some sales, like a lot of more brands were available to you? Like you were able to apply to get Ungated or you were getting auto Ungated?
Oh yeah. There was probably, I would say, 8 to 10 brands that I just got auto ungated with. It just makes it so much easier once you start selling. Because like you said, Amazon, I think they start to trust you more once you get some sales and you're in the game for a while, and it opens things up once you really get ungated. It's so much easier.
Yeah, I like to use the analogy of like, because you know Amazon has their own brand, right? They're their own thing that they have to protect, and they've had so many issues over the years where people are selling counterfeit or people are listing up things as FBM, and then somebody orders it, they take the money, and then they never send the products. And then recently, with a lot of people selling stolen goods on the platform, and it's like you just got to remember, it's like they have their own brand that they have to protect, and you're coming in, and it just imagine like you have people over at your house, right? And they're like, oh, well, can I go up to your master bedroom? Can I go to use your master bathroom? Can I look in your closet? Can I do this? It's like, well, we got to get to know you first, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly right. It's like as soon as you start making any sort of sales, like it doesn't have to be any crazy thing. It's like as soon as you just start making sales and fulfilling orders, they're gonna open up a lot of more opportunities for you. And it's like you just have to get to that point where it's like, yeah, it might seem like everything's gated, but as soon as you start selling something, it's like everything opens up.
That was another problem I ran into in the beginning. I was sourcing Nike for a while, and I didn't realize that I'm gated in Nike still. And same thing
Mhm.
with Adidas. Like right now, they're hard gated. I was sourcing them for a while, wasting a lot of time, which, definitely check if you can get ungated first before, you start sourcing products. But even with major brands, like you can't, sell them right now. Just move on. There's so much you can sell. It's crazy how much stuff you can sell on Amazon.
Yeah, there is so much opportunity, but people always focus on like those big brands. But yeah, that's a great tip. It's like before you start going down this rabbit hole of like, let me go just do hours and hours of sourcing, make sure that you can even apply to get ungated or that you're ungated. If not, you're just
Yeah.
going to waste a bunch of time. How do you think your results would have been if you never joined the program? If you just went off of free YouTube content or Instagram or Twitter content, what do you think your results would have been like? Or
Honestly,
how much?
I don't even know if I'd be doing this right now. Like it's the course that you learn so much with the course. I remember before I started the course, I had talked to you and I said I'm gonna have a ton of questions because I was new to everything.
Mhm.
And going through the course, like I don't even have to ask questions most of the time. You lay out everything on the course. It's made simple. It's made really simple.
Yeah, I noticed that you didn't send out a lot of questions. I think you might have sent like one or two, but nothing
Yeah.
crazy. Um, and I just assumed that you were getting everything answered from the course. So, is it safe to say that you'd recommend the course to other people who are on the fence?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It just that's gonna like just join the course. Like if somebody is watching the videos and going on YouTube and they want to do this, just join the course. Your learning curve is gonna skyrocket. You got to join the course and make
Cool,
like
man.
10K in 5 weeks of products up. It probably would have taken me, 6 months without the course if I stuck with it.
Yeah, and that's really what it's all about. It's about just time collapsing, right? So, like,
Yeah.
sometimes people will be like on the fence, and it's like, well, it's just really comes down to how much you value your time. Like, you can do it on your own. And I have people who were interested in the course a year ago, never joined. They kind of were like, oh, I'm going to figure it out on my own. And then they reach out a year later and like, I haven't been able to do anything, right? So it's like just about how much do you value your time? Where it's like, I've already made the mistakes. I can already show you the blueprint. It's like you just literally have to jump in, listen to it, have the right mentality, and follow through, and you'll be good.
Yeah, there's so many little tips and tricks that are on the course that you just can't find on YouTube. Everything it's made simple, and just glad I joined the course because I wouldn't be where I am today without it.
Now, if you want to be a part of the one-on-one mentorship program that I do offer that's helping my clients go from zero to their first 10K per month in record time, you're going to want to click that first link in the description. It's going to give you all of the details that you need to know. But keep in mind, guys, this is true one-on-one coaching. I am helping you personally, no VAs, nothing like that. I'm not throwing you into a group and you're hoping for the best. I'm not telling you to show up to busy Zoom calls and hoping that your question gets answered. This is true one-on-one mentorship, and that's why my clients get results just like all of these that I'm flashing on screen right now in record time. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the interview, and I will see you guys in the next one.